It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. I've just come off the train station at Grange train station. There's my train going away. The reason why I'm here today is episode 2 of Craft Beer In. So today we're in Cardiff. There's a couple of places I want to show you. Because of the pandemic, because of what happened over the last couple of years, 2020, this is being recorded in 2022. Some of the places that I would have liked to have shown you have changed, and some of the places have changed for the worse, to be honest with you, in Cardiff. The pandemic wasn't kind to craft beer in the Cardiff area. So we're in the city centre. We just arrived in the city centre. The first port of call that I want to show you is a pub called the Grange. It's a couple of minutes walk away. So yeah, join me when I get there. Well, it's not going to be open. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. But we'll show you the Grange. Maybe we just carry on rolling. Maybe we just roll with this and see how far we go. Because there's plenty to talk about. Cardiff used to be an amazing place for craft beer. You had a big brewery in the city centre, which we're going to pass in a minute too. There was lots of craft beer bars, one of them being the Cambrian tap. Funny story, they used to have a big picture of me on the wall in the Cambrian tap. Be careful crossing roads here. Right, here we go. And the Cambrian tap used to have about 25 different beers on. I've heard that they're down to, because they were bought out by Marston's. Brains Brewery were bought out by Marston's. I've heard now that they're just down to Marston's Pedigree and Brains SA. If that's true, that would be a crying shame. Another place as well, the City Arms. If anybody went to the City Arms in Cardiff for a beer, you'll kind of know that, well, City Arms used to be an absolutely terrific place to go for a beer. There was even more beer in the City Arms years ago. It was across the road from the Millennium Stadium. There used to be about 40 to 50 different beers on in there. They used to have kind of barrels hanging from the back of the bar where they used to pour beer from. It was a tremendous place to drink beer. So beer in Cardiff now, really, there's a few breweries. You've got Pipes Brewery, which is more kind of German style traditional stuff. You've got a place called Flowerhorn. Some of you might have heard of Flowerhorn. I won't be covering that today. I'll be covering that in a separate video, because that's a whole video in its own right. What else? Brains Brewery. Brains Brewery is still in Cardiff, but they're in an industrial unit now over the docks. There's nothing really to see anymore. Perhaps we'll go over there. I've been invited by the head brewer. Perhaps we'll go over there and cover that. But this is why I'm here. This is why I've kept rolling. I'm just going to show you now. There's a pub on the corner there. It's called the Grange. Now, the Grange used to be a Brains pub. Brains closed it. There it is over there. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It's not open. But Brains closed this place. And it was bought out by a group of individuals. And they turned it into a craft beer bar. Now, this place, if you're ever in Cardiff, get off at Grange Town train station. Pop in the Grange. It has some terrific craft beer. So the next port of call, you'll be seeing me next. I'll be passing the old Brains Brewery site. We'll do a quick couple of minutes there and then we'll move on. So just across the river there is the Brains Brewery, the old Brains Brewery. It used to be the old Albright Brewery years ago, but it's demolished. Well, that's going to be saved. That's a listed building. The chimney's a very important part of Cardiff's history. So is the old brew house. It's a grade 2 listed building, so that has to stay. But this is all going to be, you've got the main train station behind. You've got the new bus station they're building there, but all of the ground around it, this is all going to be developed into a big development site. Again, development site for apartments. It always seems to be apartments in city centres these days, doesn't it? It never seems to be anything other than apartment blocks going up in city centres. I know people got to have places to live, but for goodness sake, people got to have places to drink as well. There's talk that they're going to put kind of like your Nando's type places in there as well. There's even talk that the old brew house over there on the ground floor there, they're going to put a little kind of microbrewery in there. Whether that happens, that's another thing. Apparently Brains owns a little bit of that, but that would be Carlsberg Marston's brewing company now, because Marston's bought out Brains and then Carlsberg bought out Marston's, so it's all a bit of a mess at the moment. It's all a little bit up in the air. But even up until this point here, all this land here, right the way up to the border here, is, or it was, Brains Brewery's site. It was huge, absolutely huge. There was great big barreling plants where they used to fill all the barrels with beer, loads of buildings everywhere in this place. But now look, you just got the little brew house there now on its own. Actually, a quick fun fact, I found a really good space here to film the old Brains Brewery. Fun fact, so when I brewed Barry Island IPA with Brains, it was actually brewed here, where my finger, we're in that window there, on that floor there, that's where we brewed Barry Island IPA. The other thing I wanted to mention quickly is, if you wanted to see a video of this place open in its former glory, then I was in there about 10 years ago and I filmed the Brains Brewery tour. So if you want to have a look at that place working, put in the YouTube search bar, or I might link it in the video below, Brains Brewery tour, and you'll see that place in working order. So I've just made it to the centre, and I suppose you can't mention beer without mentioning Wetherspoons. The first pub you hit as you come into the city of Cardiff is a Wetherspoons pub. When I worked for Buckley's, it wasn't Buckley's, it was Evan Evans Brewery, my job on a Monday was to phone Wetherspoons, and to be fair to them, they took about 40 barrels a week off us. You've got walkabouts and dirty martini bars and that sort of thing, peppermint over there. Yeah, but they used to take about 40 beers a week, 40 barrels a week off us, which I mean was my biggest day of sales. So I know a lot of people you can't really consider Wetherspoons to be craft beer, but you can get the odd Vice beer in there every now and again. See if I can cross the road. You got Vice beer, you can get the odd IPA every now and again. It's not going to be the greatest for craft beer, but you can't really mention beer without mentioning Wetherspoons, I suppose. Here is the Cambrian tap on the corner of Caroline Street. Now, Caroline Street is famous in Cardiff, a really famous street for, we call it Chip Shop Alley. We call it Chip Shop Alley. You got all of the kind of the chip shops, and this place is open till about 3 o'clock in the morning serving chips. But here is the Cambrian tap, and here is the beer selection. Rev James, Brains SA, Brains Dark, Brains Bitter, Thatcher's, Guinness and Carlin. So it's true. Oh, and my beer over there, my beer that I brewed with Brains, Barry Island IPA, that one there, second to last right. But yeah, I did a video in there years ago, the Cambrian tap, how fantastic their craft beers were. They used to have, as I mentioned, they used to have about 30 or 40 different craft beers in there, and well, it's a shame to see it in its current state, but let's move on. Another really interesting place is the Brewery Quarter. Believe it or not, this used to be Brains Brewery's first brewery, the original Brains Brewery. So the interesting thing about this old brewery, you can see it's an old brewery, can't you? The interesting thing you used to say about this brewery was the trucks used to have to come through here with barrels. So the delivery trucks used to pick up the barrels of beer from here, and they had to be special trucks, that hydraulic trucks that could lower down to get into this tunnel. So Brains have moved twice in my lifetime already. This used to be a fantastic old Brains pub here on the corner, I used to remember. But they've kept, if you have a look at this now, they've kept the Brains clock. Brains Brewery, 1887. Yeah, so this was the original old brewery. So down here, down under here was a cellar. This used to be a roof. And this was a cellar where they used to keep all the barrels of beer years ago. Now it's Five Guys, brew house and kitchen, spice quarter, the yard. Well, I suppose a bit of a shame really. You've got a Nando's there in the corner. So essentially what Brains did, when I was showing you that brewery where they went to only 23 years ago, they only moved there. They've done it again. They've sold the brewery off. Lots of different kind of restaurants and bars and apartments are going to move in there. And you lose a bit of history, don't you? You lose a little bit of heritage. This is the back part of Chippy Lane I was talking to you all about. This place is rammed at 2 o'clock in the morning with people eating chips. Fantastic. So they had two pubs at the original brewery, Brains. The pub on the corner there, and I think this was the original, on the corner here was the original tap, the Brains Brewery tap, where if ever they had visitors, guests at the brewery, they would bring them to this pub. So all of these buildings along here, where I'm looking now, they were all part of the Brains Brewery, the original Brains Brewery site. And this was their pub on the corner there. It's called the Duke of Wellington. Still a Brains pub, as you can see. But that's where they used to entertain all of their kind of posh guests when they used to visit the brewery. Let's move on. I think an honourable mention should go to these guys, the Head of Steam. I'll have a quick look in here, because they've got like Delirium Tremens on tap in here. And that's just... There we go. Be very quick with here, because here it is. Delirium Tremens. Look at that. Right, on to the next pub. I say, thank you. No worries, brother. I say honourable mention because it's a chain. It's a big chain all over the UK, the Head of Steam. You've probably got one in your major city. When I was in Liverpool, I was drinking in a Head of Steam. Absolutely fantastic when I was at the SEBA event. Carry on walking then. We passed one or two bars that and actual kind of old pubs that you see. Sorry, mate. A couple of old places which used to be breweries, big old pubs. The Owen Glendower is one. Used to be a big brewery. So walking around the. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop and then start again. So here's the next place of interest. You've got the City Arms on the corner. That used to be an absolutely fantastic pub in the centre of Cardiff. That's the pub I was talking about earlier, where they used to have about 40 different casks on, and there was a cask hanging up behind the bar, and you could pour fresh cask beer from it. And then you got Tiny Rebel next to it. So City Arms and Tiny Rebel. This used to be the main kind of hub really for, I would say, proper craft beer in Cardiff. It's a real shame. It's a real shame that, yeah, and my worst fears are definitely true. Through the window we have Rev James, Brains SA, Old Rosie Cider and Pedigree. And that's about it for this wonderful old pub that used to have so many different beers on, and it's in a great location with the stadium in the background as well, the Cardiff City, the Millennium Stadium, not the Cardiff City Stadium. Womanby Street used to be a really interesting place. There used to be a craft bar on the first floor up in one of these buildings here. You've got another Wetherspoons pub where the entrance is there, and then here we have Tiny Rebel. This is Tiny Rebel's Cardiff bar. They've been here a while now, Tiny Rebel. They've probably been here 8 years, I imagine. Let's see if it's open. See if we can have a quick look. Sorry. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is Tiny Rebel. They're in a meeting, so we're going to leave there. Next interesting place is 0 Degrees. Now these guys have a couple of bars and breweries around the UK. 0 Degrees Cardiff. You may have heard of them. What's interesting about this place is you can see the brewing kit in the window. They brew their own beer. And you can purchase it only at their kind of restaurants and bars. Let's see if it's open. See if they'll let us in. There's a bag of malt on the floor. Yeah, but this is Zero Degrees. And then right next door to 0 Degrees, or not, well, yeah, here's an interesting pub. Here's an interesting pub, the Queen's Vaults. Look at this for a nice old pub. Again, right, very close to the Millennium Stadium. I like the fact that you can sit here. The windows open right up, that's all open. Lovely old glass tiles to the building. On the outside, those glazed tiles, absolutely fantastic. A couple of barrels. See if it's open. To have a look. Here we go. Sport on the telly. Strella, Camden, Madry, and some cask ale. There's their cask ale. I think you can have a carvery in here as well. No exit. Well, we'll go out that way anyway. Right. Next up is Brewdog. Oh, look at this! I'm doing my Cardiff. How you doing, man? You alright?
You right?
Yeah.
You on live?
Yeah, I'm gonna roll. Yeah. So I'm doing a Cardiff where to drink craft beer in Cardiff. Cool, and of course I cannot do that without visiting Brewdog.
Exactly.
If I can pop in and have a quick... I just went to Queen's Vaults, had a little look around there. Yeah, so this is... Of course, can't have a city without a Brewdog these days, can you, eh? Did you see my punk video? 15?
I didn't know.
15% punk IPA.
Good? Bad?
Amazing, loved it.
Oh, really?
Loved it. Yeah, absolutely loved it. So yeah.
We didn't get any yet, so we haven't tried it.
Oh, it's really good. I bought it online on their website. Yeah, so this is the loads of old creeks and boons and lots of different crafts, and then you got the Brewdog selection on the bottom. Fruited. Oh, they got some local beer, Flowerhorn, Northern Monk. Well, Northern Monk are not local to us, Burnt Mill, Flowerhorn, and then the big Brewdog list of beers. So we just finished filming at Brewdog, and my mate there in Brewdog, who I was just speaking to, told me go back down Womanby Street where we were just now with the City Arms and Tiny Rebel, and there's a new bar that's opened at the top of Womanby Street, Now, this street here is one of the oldest streets in Cardiff. It's kind of, as you get to the top, it gets really narrow. It's got so much history down here, this street. You can see it as you're walking, getting narrower and narrower. There's the Wetherspoons kind of gatekeeper type place, but look, you can see old kind of like tunnels and buildings. But the original craft bar in Womanby Street was actually on the first floor of this building here about 5 or 6 years ago. There's a nightclub. There's another looking nightclub looking place there. Yeah, you can just see some of the, this is some of the original stuff of kind of Womanby Street. You can see the age of the street. It's a shame the trees are growing out the side. Look at the blooming thing there. Look at that blooming loud thing. Shut up. Right, so here we are at the top of Womanby Street. Apparently this craft bar is... Oh, there it is. There it is. Mad Dog Brewery and Tap Room. Now, some of you might remember I did a collaboration with these guys years and years and years ago. Bohemian Hipster. If you drank their Bohemian Hipster by Mad Dog Brewery, I collaborated with these guys. I'm not sure it's open. I'm not sure if we can kind of try and squeeze in here. No, it's locked. That's a real shame. Can't really see from there what's... Sorry, generator sounds again. Well, that looks quite a nice tap room there. There's all the taps going on. I'll have to get in there and give it a go. Right, let's go to Brew Monster. I was calling it Beer Monster. Brew Monster. Now they're just around the corner. So Cardiff Castle. This is, I'm trying to make this a craft beer forward-thinking video, but yeah, they might as well have a bit of sightseeing while we're here. Cardiff Castle, Revolution. When I was a carpenter, I actually refurbished that place. That's one of the last jobs I did as a contract carpenter. Lovely old arcade there, Castle Arcade in Cardiff. There's something else I wanted to show you as well, but that's really gone downhill. It was a fantastic old pub where I filmed the Rummer Tavern. If you put into YouTube the Rummer Tavern, you will see I've actually filmed in the Rummer Tavern when it had great beer on. Apparently now it's another one of those pubs in Cardiff that's just serving your general kind of stuff these days. But here we are around the corner to Brew Monster. So this area of Cardiff just a few years ago was all boarded up. It was all boarded up and there was nothing going on. You know, we all thought it was going to kind of fall apart. You got the Blue Bell there. And they turned it into a bit of an outside seating area place where you can enjoy beer and drinks. But here is Brew Monster. Can I come in? Is that alright? Can I come in for a second just to film the pumps and whatever?
Ah, if you want, yeah.
Is that alright? Cheers, thank you very much.
If you want, I'll just pop the stuff out of the way. The prettiest of pumps at the moment.
Yeah, no, don't worry. This is what craft beer is all about, isn't it? Just enjoying the beer. And
100%, man. Have you been here before?
I passed, yeah. I was looking for the Paulaner.
Which one?
Oh, I think about a year ago you had Paulaner in here. Paulaner Weiss beer.
Oh, Paulaner, yeah.
Paulaner, yeah.
We had the Weiss beer, we had the Pilsner. We also had the dark lager at some point as well.
Cool. So this is, how long has this place been open?
November before the plague.
Oh, before the play, yeah. That's. I was just saying on my video. This is what's happened with Cardiff. It didn't fare well, did it, Cardiff, in the whole plague era?
We lost a lot of independence, especially. We're one of the. I think we're the biggest independent tap house now.
In Cardiff.
City centre.
Amazing. So do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have a pint here then, because what I've done, I've filmed a documentary for YouTube where to go to drink in Cardiff.
There we go.
So I think I'm going to pull myself one and sit and enjoy it and review it. It's nice and quiet
So
here as
we're
well.
about to open, so now we're
You're about to open, so yeah, I'll wait for you to open and we'll grab a beer. Right, I've chosen what I want. I had a little taste of the raspberry rasp, which was a fruit coffee stout, really interesting, really nice. But I tried the Lycan American Nitro Porter, a little sample of it, and it is fantastic. So James can have a pint of that, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. First pint of the day. So I was just telling my audience, I came here at about 10 o'clock this morning, started off showing them the old Brains site.
Of course, yeah.
The England door.
Yeah.
That used to be a big old brewery years ago.
Yeah.
And made our way to a lot of different places, and now we're here in Brew Monster, which is really cool. Really cool. Can I pay in a second? Is that okay?
100%,
Right.
yeah.
I'm gonna pay in a second because we're gonna roll. We're gonna go outside, and we're gonna do a quick beer review. Oh, look at this! Look at that! Right. So I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna stick my camera here. Found a wicked little place to do some filming. Are we in shot? Oh, we're in shot! Right. 6% ABV. This is St Mary Street. You've got Cardiff Castle behind us. St Mary Street, honestly, this is one of the... someone's saying hello. St Mary Street is the kind of... in Cardiff, Cardiff has become the stag and head to capital of like the south. Lots and lots of people come to Cardiff because there's so many places to eat, drink and have fun, and it's all flat. It's all in one big area. It's pretty cool. Brew Monster. Aroma. Well, let's look at it first. Jet black beer, one finger tan coloured head. This looks great. That's tremendous. Absolutely tremendous beer. Chocolate, coffee, caramel aromas. Chocolate, coffee, caramel and taste. Lovely mouthfeel, rich and creamy. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really nice. That probably concludes it though. That probably concludes it. Hello. There's not much else to see, I suppose. There's lots and lots of... what do they call these places? I don't know. There's lots of independent places, lots of independent restaurants. You've got your, you know, your old Jumping Jacks. Is that what they call it? Jumping Jack? I haven't been out. I'm too blooming old to go nightclubbing now. But there's a ton of nightclubs in Cardiff. There's a ton of... I filmed it right at the start of this blooming movie. The American bar, the Australian bar. Next to Wetherspoons. Anyway. Enough from me. This is fantastic. Stone the Pros. Hope you liked the video. Next tour, I've got to do one closer together. I'd like to do either Newport and then make our way to Bristol. So we'll do Newport next, then Bristol. Not forgetting Swansea. We got to do Swansea as well. But then we're going to branch out all over the UK, looking at bars and restaurants and places to drink good beer, eat good food, and yeah, Stone the Crows. Hope you liked it. Comment, subscribe, boom, cheers.